Hey guys, Nick here for Rev3 Games, and I'm here at PAX Prime 2014, where I finally got to play a little bit of Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number. Now, I feel like everyone who has seen Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number knows this, so it probably goes without saying, but I'm saying it anyway. It's a lot like Hotline Miami, but as someone who played through Hotline Miami probably 3-ish times total, that's really exciting. But there are minor differences. The first one, actually probably the most significant one, is that there are a variety of different characters this time around. So even though Hotline Miami had one, maybe two, if you got far enough, characters to play as, there are, at least in the levels I played 3 stages, discrete characters with discrete abilities and their own sets of masks. So for example, I played as one bigger dude who was not seen in any previous build, who had 3 different variations of a snake mask, one of which made him invincible, and then one that gave him a random perk from another mask, which was really cool. Hearing Denaton talk about the game, it's really obvious that they are happy with how the original Hotline Miami played. So there aren't any huge substantive differences to like the combat or even the AI. There are characters who won't see you or hear you when you're nearby, characters who kind of bounce off walls a little bit, but that's fine because I think that's how that game ought to play. The small differences I feel like come in sort of environmental details. There are a lot more destructible environments. There were areas where I was in an office building and I would shoot at, like, say a water cooler and it would explode, or a sort of store, like a department store, where you would shoot and the clothes racks would spin around. Sort of subtle environmental things like that. But for the most part, this is more Hotline Miami. The setting is actually in the 1990s, early 90s, I think 91, 92 from the levels I played. But it really, truly still feels like that Hotline Miami 80s vibe. A lot of the same artists are returning for the soundtrack, Moon and Scattle and all them, and it sounds phenomenal. This is maybe a little bit of a convention faux pas, but I definitely reached up and like turned up the speakers a little bit just to hear the soundtrack a little bit better, because it's phenomenal. They haven't announced a date yet, oddly, which is weird because it's supposed to come out Q3 of this year, so it should be out by the end of 2014, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Hotline Miami, this is more of that. Lots of interesting new variations, mass abilities. There was one pair of dudes who, one shot and one slash with a chainsaw. There was one character I played who could hold 2 machine guns at once and would shoot in 2 different directions, which you might have recognized from the trailer. Then you could hit shift to sort of pivot him 90 degrees and point up and behind him. What it is the best of Hotline Miami, refined a little bit more and with a bunch of weird small twists that, for me at least, have me excited to play more of it, because I love the core combat of Hotline Miami 1 so much, and I'm really thrilled to get back into it. And I'm also excited to see what kind of story they have to tell. I feel like Hotline Miami 1 had a lot to say about violent video games, and I'm curious what led them to make this sequel and kind of what they're trying to say with this next game. I'm already like scrutinizing it to a weird degree, trying to pick up on hints. But anyways, that's what I thought of my brief time with Hotline Miami 2. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll hit you up and we'll talk about shooting guys and slashing guys, throwing knives at guys. Throwing knives is not an automatic kill anymore, also, which is crazy. Maybe I had a different knife. Anyways, lots of little eccentric, minute things to nitpick over. But I'll see you guys in the comments. We can talk about it more. Peace.
One game, though, that I actually didn't see at PAX Prime, but did see at a Gamescom showing earlier, was a game called Until Dawn. This is a game from Sony that is kind of interesting in that it disappeared for a while. If you don't remember, Until Dawn was originally announced like 2 Gamescoms ago as a PS3 game that used motion controls.